Now, as the Gospels come to a close and we move into the book of Acts, we find that Jesus' followers do spread out all over the known world. And as they go, they take the good news of Jesus with them. But they don't all go for the same reason. Some of them go because they're going back home. They've gone somewhere. Maybe they've gone to Jerusalem for a major festival like the Passover, or maybe they've gone to one of the major cities where the Christian message has reached. Maybe, as we saw last week, Philippi. We've looked in previous weeks about Antioch. So big kind of towns and cities where people would go to do business. And maybe people have gone there and they've heard about Jesus, or they've seen things happen, and they've become followers of Jesus. And so now they're going, but they're going back home. So they've gone somewhere, they've heard about Jesus, and now they're going back home. And as they go back home, they take the good news with them. Other people are going, other Christians are going because they've been forced to go. They've been forced out of their home, maybe due to persecution. And even though they're being persecuted for being Christians, but they're being driven out of their home, they're having to go somewhere else altogether different, that doesn't stop them when they get there talking about Jesus with their new neighbours and in the new place where they are. And then there are other people like Paul and Barnabas and Silas and Luke who have deliberately gone places to talk about Jesus. So people are going all over the known world for various reasons, but as they go, they're talking about Jesus. And so we see in the book of Acts that there are some people who are especially chosen by God and especially equipped by God to go somewhere else in order to tell people about Jesus. But we also see in the book of Acts that all Christians, wherever they are, whether they're going somewhere or whether they're staying at home, all Christians are to be sharing our faith through the things that we say and through the things that we do. A lot of what we know of as the New Testament is made up of letters written by Paul, often to churches that he'd been to on his various travels. We saw the maps earlier on. Or writing to people that he'd met along the way. And in his letters, he would often ask these churches to pray for him. Now, it's been a while since we've done a sword drill, but I thought we would do a sword drill. So you will need a Bible, either on your phone, or there are some real Bibles at the back, as I still refer to them. So the Bible talks about itself being the sword of the Spirit. And so what we're going to do is, I'll just tell you the rules first, is you are not going to have your fingers in the index. And if you've got an online Bible, you need to have it kind of the equivalent of closed. You're then going to draw your sword. So they're all going to go up in the air. And I'm going to give you a Bible reference. And your sword is going to stay in the air until I say charge. At which point, you can take your phone or your Bible down, find the reference, and the first person to find it stands up and will read out the verse. Okay? So, we're going to draw, and there has to be sound effects. So we're going to draw our swords. Okay, and remember it needs to stay in the air until I say charge. The first reference, or this reference is Ephesians chapter 6, verse 19. Up. Very good. Most of you were. I'm going to say, I'm sure there's some cheating going on at the back there. Ephesians 6:19. Charge. Stand up then. Right. Can you, in a very loud voice, read out Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 19? Why are you scrolling if you've got it? Thank you very much. So, I'll put that verse back up on the screen again behind me in a minute, but you'll see from this timeline that we've seen before that Paul wrote these verses in Ephesians whilst he was in prison in Rome, and so he's writing from prison, and he says, "Pray also for me that whenever I speak, words may be given me so that I will fearlessly make known the mystery of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in chains. Pray that I may declare it fearlessly as I should." And so Paul is asking Christians who are receiving this letter to pray for him in his work, as in this case he's in prison, but other places he's still traveling around, praying, inviting people to pray for him. Right, another one. Remember the sound effects, they're all important. Okay, this time I want you to find 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 6. Charge. 1 Corinthians 3, 6. Six. You have to read it, yes. Okay, so 1 Corinthians 3 verse 6 says, "I planted the seed, Apollos watered it, but God has been making it grow." And this is in a little section of a few verses. If you've got your Bible open, you'll see it just around it, that Paul has been helping these Christians in Corinth understand that we're all involved in this job of making disciples. So Paul might be the one that told people about Jesus, but this guy Apollos, he's got the responsibility of actually bringing those Christians on in their knowledge, because Paul often would go to a place, stay for a little while, and then go somewhere else, leaving others. And so we've all got a role to play. Some people, it's the role to tell people about Jesus. Other people have got a role of walking alongside people, helping them grow on a day-to-day basis. And sometimes people have, their role is to pray for all that is going on. There would have been those people a long way away who would have been praying for Paul's work and for these people that Paul was talking to. And so the important thing is that we know what it is that God has asked us to do, and we're getting on with the job that God has asked us to do. And that might be, so what it is that God's asked us to do might be, in terms of what we're thinking about today, praying for specific missionaries. And so God may have put specific missionaries on our hearts, and it's our job to pray for them. God may want us to give financially to specific missionaries or to specific mission agencies. God might be asking us to make regular contact with a specific missionary. God may be asking us to actually go, and we always need to be open to that possibility. As a church, these are the missionaries that we support. You can see them on the screen now. So Claire is from the UK. Kalbasu is from Cameroon, and Lucia is from Brazil. And they all work with BMS World Mission at Guinea-Bissau Hospital in Chad. So they've all left their home, UK, Cameroon, and Brazil, and they are all working at Guinea-Bissau Hospital in Chad with BMS. And over the last few years, we've heard quite a lot about Guinea-Bissau Hospital. Claire is a pharmacist. Kalbasu is the hospital director. He also does some surgery. And Lucia is involved in administration and logistics and all that kind of thing. Chad, where the hospital is one of the poorest and least developed countries in the world. It's quite hot. I had a check on the internet this morning, and today in Chad it is 42 degrees. So quite warm, and so just kind of in that kind of climate, it's hot, it's dusty, it can be quite difficult just getting your jobs done. And so it's quite a hostile climate for a whole range of reasons. Other times in the year it's very wet, and then when you've got untarmacked roads, everything just floods and you can't get anywhere. So lots of problems. If you wanted to find out a bit more, BMS, I think we watched this a year or so ago. BMS, if you go onto YouTube and search for BMS World Mission Operation Chad, you'll get the official video. If you go onto YouTube and you search for Hospital of Hope, behind the scenes on Operation Chad, part 1, part 2, blah, blah, all the way through to part 5, it's very interesting. The three people that went out to film for the official video, they've done a kind of a daily vlog, a video diary type thing. And so if you just wanted to get a bit more of a flavour about what the hospital's like, what it looks like, who the people are, that sort of thing, then I would encourage you to go and look at those 2 sets of videos. You'll also find prayer letters and other information on the BMS World Mission website. And then Dan and Annie in the bottom left as you look, they set up a project called Tech Ora in Albania, working in Tirana and Durrës, involved in church work, community work, health work, education. And if you haven't already got it in your diary, don't forget that they're going to be here on Sunday, the 8th of December, telling us all about what they're up to. Sunday, the 8th of December, they will be here. Albania is one of the poorest countries in Europe, and as a project, they're very active on social media. So if you're on Instagram or Facebook, or WhatsApp, and you wanted to kind of find out a little bit more about them, that's a good way to do that. They have a supporters WhatsApp group, which has daily updates, and so if you wanted to be a part of the Tech Ora supporters WhatsApp group, have a word with me afterwards, and I can put you onto that. If you like your football, then the Euros are coming. And Albania are in the Euros. And so one of the things that Tech Ora are encouraging people to do is to use the Euros as an opportunity to raise awareness of their work in Albania and to pray for Albania. This is the Albanian flag, and they have this Albanian hand symbol. I always get it wrong, but it's something like that. So it's the two-headed double eagle from the flag, and you'll see this is one of their football players who's just scored a goal, making the hand gesture. Probably got them in trouble with FIFA, but that's another matter altogether. And so they're just saying, as over these next few weeks, I think the Euros start in a week and a bit's time or something like that, encouraging, and I'm just going to stop talking in a minute and just let you watch a short video in which they encourage us to do that. But before, just in case you were looking for websites, so bmsworldmission.org for BMS stuff, and then if you were to do a Google search on Tech Ora, so that's Tekura, then you'll either find them on Instagram or their website. Right, and you might see a few familiar faces on the video. So if you are watching the Euros and you hear about Albania, then take the opportunity to pray for Albania and for the work of Tech Ora. We're going to pray, and then I'm going to hand back to Fiona.